Don't let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action. These are not just words. They are a verdict, a call to arms, a piercing alarm clock ringing in the soul of every man and woman asleep at the wheel of their own potential. You see, we live in the age of information, where wisdom is not buried in books, but handed to you by the gods of search bars and swipeable screens. And yet, we are drowning in insights, starving for execution. Most people don't need another seminar. They don't need another podcast. They don't need another quote pasted on the wallpaper of their screensaver. What they need is fire. What they need is movement. What they need is decision. Learning without doing is the illusion of progress. It feels warm. It feels productive. It feels intelligent, but it's not transformation. It's procrastination, dressed up in noble robes. The greatest danger of modern learning is not ignorance. It's the illusion of growth without the fruit of change. And make no mistake, you will be measured by the fruit. No one cares how many books you've read if your life still looks like a desert. No one cares how inspired you feel if you're still stuck in the same place you were last year. You think the world's going to reward you for potential? No. The world pays dividends on performance, not theories, not dreams, not notes in your journal. Action. Learning is the spark. Action is the flame. Without flame, the spark dies in darkness. Do you know why most people don't act? It's not because they don't know what to do. It's because they're waiting. Waiting for permission. Waiting for perfect. Waiting for certainty. And in that waiting room, dreams are executed by doubt. Potential is murdered by hesitation. You must not wait. You must not ask life to grant you the conditions. You must create the conditions. You must stop saying, once I learn more, then I will, and start saying, I will learn through doing. The greatest wisdom lives on the battlefield, not in the classroom, not in the lecture, in the arena, with blood on your knuckles, with sweat in your eyes, with fear in your throat and courage in your chest. That is where the real learning begins. Because what you do teaches you more than what you hear. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is. Strategy means nothing without motion. Insight means nothing without implementation. Discipline is the bridge. Hunger is the fuel. And action is the sword that cuts through excuses. Let me tell you something radical, something that will separate you from the 95% of people who live their entire lives on the sidelines. You don't need more time. You don't need more money. You don't need more credentials. You need more courage. Courage to look foolish. Courage to make mistakes. Courage to be bad before you're good, and good before you're great. You see, most people are perfectionists, not because they're excellent, but because they're afraid. Afraid to be seen starting. Afraid to be exposed. Afraid that someone might notice that they're learning on the job. But listen to me. Every master was once a disaster. Every legend began as a beginner, and every giant still bleeds. The world does not reward you for what you know. It rewards you for what you build, what you make, what you contribute, what you finish. You can spend your whole life reading about swimming and still drown when thrown in the deep. So jump. Yes, jump. That thing you've been thinking about for months, start it. That idea in your notebook, covered in dust, launch it. That goal that scares the hell out of you, pursue it. Because you will learn more in 1 hour of uncomfortable doing than in 100 hours of comfortable watching. There is a reason why the richest man is not the smartest man, why the most fulfilled woman is not the most educated woman. Because action is the great equalizer. It turns amateurs into experts. It turns talkers into builders. It turns ideas into income. But to truly act, you must break the addiction to inspiration. Inspiration is beautiful, yes, but it is fleeting. It is the spark, but it is not the firewood. If you rely on inspiration, you will wait until the mood strikes. And when the mood doesn't come, you will do nothing. Champions don't wait for the mood. They create the mood through motion. Get up, move, begin. Even if it's sloppy, even if it's messy, even if it's small. Because small acts become big momentum, and momentum is more valuable than motivation. Start where you are, with what you have, and do what you can. And that is enough. Not someday, not next month, not when you're ready, but now. Because life only honors those who move. Not those who study the map, but those who walk the road. You will not learn your way into a better life. You will move your way into one choice, one step, one push into the unknown. And here's the twist. When you begin to act, the learning explodes. Experience is the mother of mastery. Feedback is the fertilizer of growth. You'll start to notice things that books can't teach. You'll discover strengths you didn't know you had. And you'll meet a version of yourself that you've never met the version that does. That is the real education. Not consumption, but creation. There's a reason most people stay broke while knowing everything about money. There's a reason most people stay unhealthy while knowing everything about fitness. Because it's not about what they know, it's about what they do. The wealthiest people in the world are not the ones with the most knowledge. They are the ones who move first, risk boldly, and correct quickly. So trade your books for battle scars. Trade your theories for triumphs. Trade your notes for notes played. This is your life, not a lecture. The clock is ticking, and every minute you delay is a minute you'll never get back. The graveyards are full of geniuses who never acted, full of artists who never painted, full of entrepreneurs who never launched. Don't join them. Let your learning be sacred, but let your action be relentless. Don't build a library of facts. Build a life of results. Because at the end of your story, no one will ask how many things you knew. They will ask, what did you build? Who did you become? What did you do? And if the answer is bold, if the answer is full, if the answer is alive, then your learning has done its job. So when the dust settles and your hands are worn from the work of building and your voice is hoarse from shouting into the silence of resistance, you'll look back and realize it was never about how much you knew. It was always about how far you were willing to go with what little you had. Because it's not the man with the highest IQ who wins. It's the man with the strongest spine. It's not the woman with the most certifications who leads. It's the one with the most scars. Life does not bend for the well-informed, it bows for the relentless. You must stop hoarding knowledge like a collector of trophies never earned. Each insight you gather must become a command, not a comfort. Let every lesson pierce you. Let it provoke you. Let it demand something from you. Because if it doesn't move you to act, it's not wisdom. It's wallpaper. Beautiful, decorative, and utterly useless. Knowledge without execution is vanity. The world is moved by those who move it, not those who understand it. It's the writer who writes, not the one who studies literature. It's the leader who leads, not the one who reads about leadership. It's the builder who breaks ground, not the one who memorizes the blueprint. And so the question must no longer be, what do I know? But what am I doing about what I know? If you know how to sell, are you selling? If you know how to create, are you creating? If you know how to change, are you changing? If not, then knowledge has become your cage. Because once you know but don't act, you become paralyzed by your own potential. That is the quiet tragedy of our age. We are aware of everything and masters of nothing. And deep inside you feel it, that ache, that inner tug of war. One part of you is full of dreams, ideas, talents waiting to be set free. And the other part, the scared part, whispers, not yet, just a little more time, a little more learning. But that voice is lying. It is the voice of comfort, dressed up as reason. It is the seductive whisper of safety, posing as strategy. And you must silence it not gently, but ruthlessly, because your future depends on it. Action is the antidote to fear. Movement is the enemy of self-doubt. And commitment is the cure for hesitation. You don't need more preparation, you need more presence. Be present in your own life. Be the force, be the fire, be the one who says, today I will not just learn, I will do. Because while the rest of the world waits for the perfect moment, the doers create momentum. While the thinkers argue about the path, the doers blaze trails. While the watchers marvel at greatness, the doers become it. And yes, there will be failure. There will be pain. But let me tell you something sacred. Failure through action is wisdom. Failure through inaction is regret. You will never regret the step you took, only the ones you didn't. You want to feel alive? Then move. Take the step. Send the message. Make the call. Build the product. Launch the brand. Say the words. Apply the pressure. Plant the seed. Pull the trigger. Do something today that your future self will whisper, thank you for. Because one day, and that day is coming faster than you think, the time to act will be gone. The window will close. And all that will be left are two things: what you built and what you didn't. You are not a vessel to store information. You are a warrior sent here to use it. So sharpen your mind, not just to understand, but to execute, to bring ideas into form, to turn learning into life. You don't need another degree. You don't need another guru. You need a mirror. You need to look yourself dead in the eye and say, I am the one. Not someday, not eventually, now. Because once you stop waiting and start acting, the world changes. Opportunities appear. People respond. The invisible becomes visible. Life meets you at the level of your action, not your intentions. Every day you delay, you pay. You pay in self-respect. You pay in momentum. You pay in the silent heartbreak of unlived potential. And every day you act, you rise. You rise in power. You rise in clarity. You rise in your ability to shape reality through will. Learning is not meant to be a shelter. It is meant to be a weapon. You sharpen it through use. You test it in battle. And when wielded with conviction, it becomes unstoppable. So stop romanticizing theory. Stop worshiping knowledge. Worship discipline. Worship movement. Worship follow-through. Because those are the real gods of success. Not intelligence. Not pedigree, not IQ, but grit, courage, consistency. The man who keeps moving even slowly, even imperfectly, will always outpace the genius who waits for perfection, because progress is a dance with imperfection. You don't win by waiting for the perfect step. You win by stepping, adjusting, and stepping again. So if you're tired of being stuck, do not ask for more answers. Ask yourself one question. What can I do today? Because today is the only day that exists. Now is the only time that has power. And you are the only one who can move the needle of your life. So move it. Not tomorrow. Not later. Not after you feel ready. Now. Because readiness is a myth sold to dreamers. No one is ever truly ready. Not for greatness. Not for impact. Not for transformation. Readiness is not a prerequisite. It is a result. It is born through the heat of action, through the friction of failing forward, through the fire of doing what you swore you'd do long after the feeling you set it in is gone. You don't wait until the storm passes. You become the storm. You don't ask for the wind to push you. You set the sail yourself. And when you act, something ancient awakens inside of you, something that's been buried under layers of fear, doubt, comfort, overthinking, and second-guessing. You awaken the maker, the builder, the beast, the part of you that doesn't just know, but becomes. Because knowledge alone does not make you powerful. Knowledge only shows you what's possible. But action is what proves what's possible. And every time you act, the gap between who you are and who you could be closes. This is not about hustle porn. This is not about working 100 hours a week or burning out in pursuit of shallow goals. This is about honoring the knowledge you've been given. This is about not wasting the miracle of awareness. This is about proving to the universe that you are worth the gift of insight by translating it into impact. You've been taught, you've been trained, you've read, you've watched, you've written down the affirmations, you've visualized, you've studied every success story from Carnegie to Musk. And now the real question rises like thunder inside your bones. What will you do with it? Will you let your wisdom rot on the shelf of hesitation? Or will you take the hammer of action and strike while the metal of the moment is hot? Because time is not waiting for you. The clock does not care about your excuses. The calendar is not pausing to let you catch your breath. Every second you hesitate, the life you want grows more distant. Every time you flinch, the door begins to close. And one day, when the silence becomes deafening, when the dust has settled and all your chances lie behind you, you will wish you had acted. Don't let your life become a museum of missed chances. Don't let your mind become a warehouse of unshipped dreams. Don't let your learning become your leash. Unleash it. Use it. Wield it. You must turn the page into a plan. You must turn the theory into a tactic. You must turn the insight into impact. Every lesson you've ever learned has one job: to make you move. And if it's not making you move, it's not done yet. And if you are not moving, then you are not done yet. So go. Not in search of more to consume, but in service of more to create. Become the one who took the wisdom and built something eternal. Become the one who acted, even when it was hard, even when it was risky, even when no one clapped. Because history is not written by the informed. It is written by the engaged. The battlefield of life is not won by those who know all the strategies, but by those who enter the fight. Sword drawn, feet planted, heart ready. So stand up today, right now. The moment you begin, the universe begins too. The moment you move, energy shifts, doors open, people appear. Opportunities flood in, not to the thinker, not to the reader, not to the planner, but to the mover. You've heard enough. You've known enough. Now it's time to live like it. Now it's time to do. And when you do, when you finally act, something irreversible happens. The internal shift becomes external reality. The invisible becomes flesh. The intangible becomes real. And the world begins to reflect the power you always had, but never used. This is the truth they won't teach you in school. The bridge between dreams and results is built plank by plank with action. Not desire, not discussion, not dreaming, doing. The dream without the discipline becomes a haunting, a ghost of what could have been. But discipline daily, focused, unglamorous discipline, it's what transforms sparks into infernos. It's what turns wishful thinking into undeniable legacy. So wake up from the seminar coma, get off the inspiration treadmill, unplug from the addiction to more information, and return to the temple of the body in motion, because nothing grows from thinking alone. The seed must hit soil. The hand must strike hammer. The word must become deed. Every hero you admire, they were not made by what they knew. They were forged by what they did with what they knew. Read that again. Let it break something open in you. You don't need a new path. You need new priorities. Most people are not suffering from a lack of opportunity. They're suffering from a lack of urgency. The fire never starts when you feel like it. It starts when you move like your life depends on it, because it does. Your potential is not a trophy. It is a debt you owe to the world, and you pay that debt with your action. Every day, relentlessly, with love, with faith, with force. And don't you dare say it's too late. Don't you dare say you've missed your chance. As long as you're breathing, there is breath in your destiny. As long as you have strength to stand, there is ground for you to take. As long as you have a voice, there is truth for you to speak. And as long as you remember why you began, there is power for you to continue. But you must stop hiding behind learning. You must stop pretending that knowledge is safety. It's not. Knowledge is responsibility. Knowledge demands that you become more, not just know more. The more you know, the more you owe. And if you know what to do and still don't do it, that is not wisdom. That is betrayal of yourself, of your future, of the ones watching you, praying for someone to go first. Because that's the other secret. Someone needs you to move. Your action doesn't just change your life. It shifts others too. There's someone right now, in the shadows of your orbit, watching you, waiting for a sign, looking for proof that it's possible. And your motion could set them free. Your courage could crack the sky open for them. Don't rob them of that. Be the proof. Be the light. Be the walking, breathing evidence that it can be done, not because you read it, not because you watched a documentary about it, not because you posted a quote about it, but because you did it. Action is the highest form of faith. When you act, you're declaring to the world, I believe in this dream. I believe in myself. I believe that even if I fall, I will rise again. And what happens when you keep rising? You become undeniable. You become unshakable. You become someone that no amount of fear, no pile of excuses, no wall of doubt can stop. That's not a fantasy. That's not motivation. That's what happens when your learning becomes action. That's what happens when your knowledge finds a spine. That's what happens when you say, enough knowing, now I build. So build. Build before you're ready. Build before it's perfect. Build like your future depends on it, because it does. One brick at a time, one post, one sale, one step, one hard conversation, one more rep, one more cold call, one more line, written, recorded, shipped, and shown. Stack those bricks, no matter how small, no matter how slow, because the day you stop stacking is the day your legacy dies in blueprint form. But the day you commit, truly commit to action, the world begins to rearrange around your fire. So when the world whispers, wait, you roar back, watch me. When fear says, what if you fail? You answer, then I will fail forward. And when doubt shouts, you're not ready, you move anyway, because courage has never required certainty. This is your awakening. This is the moment where you realize that action is not the enemy of learning. It is its final exam. And every day, life hands you a test, not on paper, not in theory, but in real time. In your decisions, in your habits, in your willingness to go beyond what you understand and step into what you embody. And make no mistake, you are not here to collect information. You are here to change atmospheres. To walk into a room and raise its standard. To start something that didn't exist before you touched it. To plant seeds in barren soil and trust they'll rise, because you were the one who planted them. But you cannot sow if your hands are always full of books. You cannot lead if your feet never move. You cannot win the battle if your sword never leaves its sheath. This is not about rushing blindly into action. This is about aligned, intentional, daily, deliberate execution. The kind of action that's tied to a cause higher than ego and deeper than applause. The kind of action that lives in purpose, breathes in vision, and bleeds in impact. If your learning doesn't lead to purpose, it was just noise. If your knowledge doesn't lead to contribution, it was just ego. If your preparation doesn't lead to transformation, it was just delay. But when your learning meets movement, mountains shift. That's when your voice changes. It deepens. Because you're not speaking from theory anymore. You're speaking from trenches, from sweat, from results. And no one can argue with results. They might question your journey. They might mock your methods, but they cannot deny the fruit. So if you want to silence the critics, build. If you want to quiet the doubt, act. If you want to command the room, deliver. This is the era of execution. No one is coming to crown the most educated. They're coming to follow the most effective. And effectiveness belongs to the implementers, to those who rise early, not to scroll, but to create, to those who stay up late, not to fantasize, but to finish, to those who spend their weekends not numbing themselves, but nurturing what matters. You can consume for the next 10 years and still be stuck, or you can produce for 10 months and change your life. Because life responds to output. The universe echoes your effort, not your dreams. It mirrors back your moves, not your mantras. So what are you making? What are you shipping? What are you executing on, even when it's boring, hard, or thankless? That's where your character is built, in the darkroom, in the lab, in the silence, where no one claps and no one sees, and still you do the work. You show up, you push through, you deliver. Because your standard isn't set by applause, it's set by alignment. And when your action aligns with your awareness, you don't just grow, you ascend. You don't just make progress, you lead a revolution. First inside yourself, then outside into everything you touch. And that's what this world needs now more than ever. Not more thinkers, not more critics, not more analysts. It needs builders. It needs warriors of execution. People so committed to translating their learning into action that the world cannot ignore their results. So rise up as one of the few, the rare, the radical, the kind of person who lives by this law. If I learn it, I will live it. If I know it, I will do it. If I see it, I will build it. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Because now is all you've ever had. Not someday, not one day, now. Now is the only soil where dreams can root. Now is the only clock that ticks in real time. Now is the only place where learning becomes living. And the ones who understand this, not just in mind, but in spirit, are the ones who rise above the noise. You've seen them. The ones who don't speak much, but their results echo louder than any slogan. The ones who don't need to convince you because their consistency proves them. The ones who move quietly, but every step reshapes the terrain around them. Do you think they were smarter, luckier, more connected? No, they just moved. While others hesitated, they executed. While others planned, they planted. While others dreamed, they delivered. They didn't let learning become a spiritual entertainment system. They let it become fuel, purpose, motion. And this is your calling, to become one of them, to stop swimming in knowledge and start sailing with it, to stop observing and start orchestrating. Let your life be a demonstration, not a discussion. Let your discipline speak louder than your declarations. Let your results become your reputation. Because when you commit to action, life begins to treat you differently. The air changes. The people around you shift. You attract the serious, the bold, the focused. Because action is magnetic. Movement pulls movement. Fire finds fire. This is why you must protect your momentum at all costs. It's more valuable than talent, more rare than intelligence, and more powerful than motivation. Don't ask, how do I feel? Ask, what must I do? Because the feelings will lie. The habits will lead. You think success comes from knowing? No. It comes from doing when you don't feel like knowing anymore. It comes from pushing through the fog of fatigue, through the noise of doubt, through the endless buffet of excuses. And let's be honest, the excuses are seductive. I just need more time. I need a better plan. I'll start when I feel ready. I don't want to fail. But let me tell you this, the greatest failure isn't falling, it's staying still. The greatest danger isn't defeat, it's delay. The real death is not death of the body, it's death of motion. So kill the excuse, kill the delay, kill the need for perfect conditions. Because if you can master the art of acting in imperfect conditions, you will become unstoppable. Life was never supposed to be tidy. Mastery is messy. Excellence is earned through sweat, through trial, through showing up again and again long after the mood has left the building. You are not here to tiptoe through theory. You are here to break ground, to put your fingerprints on this world, to leave behind a trail of action so undeniable, so powerful that it speaks for you long after you're gone. This is not just about success. This is about legacy. Legacy is not built in libraries. It's built in lives touched, in movements sparked, in change created because one person refused to stop at learning and decided to live it. Let that be you. Let your story be a masterclass in momentum. Let your every step say, I refuse to die with this potential inside me. I refuse to be the one who almost did. I refuse to trade a life of purpose for a life of passive consumption. No more reading without risking. No more studying without stepping. No more preparing without producing. It's time. Time to shift from consumer to creator, from student to soldier, from dreamer to doer. Because when you move, really move, you awaken something ancient, something divine, something unstoppable. And you finally understand. The point of learning was never just to know. The point was to build a life that shows it. Then lean in, because we are not finished. You see, once action becomes your native language, everything changes. The fog begins to lift. The confusion begins to clear. The universe, once indifferent, starts to whisper, "Yes, that's it. Keep going." And what once felt like resistance begins to feel like fuel. Because discipline is addictive, progress is intoxicating. When you begin to act, your body remembers what it means to be alive. Not alive in theory, not alive in emotion, but alive in momentum, in the sacred rhythm of cause and effect, of idea and impact, of breath and breakthrough. The difference between those who rise and those who remain is not how much they know, but how often they move. The doers don't wait to feel worthy. They don't seek validation. They validate themselves through the doing, through the sweat, through the showing up when no one is watching. They are not obsessed with being seen. They are obsessed with becoming undeniable. This must become your obsession too. Not fame, not likes, not admiration, but excellence. And excellence is only born through one process: repetition. The muscle is built through repetition. The craft is honed through repetition. The results compound through repetition, which means the question is no longer, what do I want? The real question is, what am I willing to repeat no matter how I feel? Because it's not what you occasionally do that transforms you. It's what you relentlessly repeat. One phone call, one rep, one journal entry, one uncomfortable conversation, 1 hour of deep work, one promise kept. Stack those wins. Let your consistency roar louder than your goals. Because in a world addicted to instant gratification, the rarest trait is endurance. Everyone's looking for the shortcut, the hack, the secret key. But here's the truth. The most successful people are not faster, they're just more consistent. They don't sprint, burn out, then disappear. They show up again and again and again. When it's boring, when it's hard, when no one's clapping. They keep doing what they said they'd do long after the mood they said it in has vanished. This is what separates legends from dreamers. The dreamer is high on learning, low on doing, high on starting, low on finishing. They love vision boards, but they fear execution. But the builder, the implementer, the executor, they make motion a non-negotiable. They treat their craft like a calling. They let their actions introduce them. And because of that, the world makes room for them. The world trusts them. The world follows them. And this is the most powerful truth of all. The world doesn't need more knowledge. It needs more leaders. And leadership begins with follow-through. Follow through on your word. Follow through on your goals. Follow through on your calling. Because every time you follow through, you become someone worth following, not just in business, not just in relationships, but in life. So today, yes, today commit to doing the thing you've been postponing. Not reading about it, not researching it, doing it. Take the first step, or the next step, or the hard step. Send the message. Make the call. Hit publish. Hit record. Take the meeting. Pitch the client. Launch the page. Wake up earlier. Turn off the distractions. Say no. Say yes. Say it's time. Because the clock is not waiting, and neither is the life you were born to build. Then let's press forward with fire, with force, with finality. Because this is the hour where talk ends and truth begins. This is the moment where the old self burns, where the doubter inside you takes his last breath, where the dreamer gives way to the doer, and you finally become who you were meant to be. You will not be remembered for what you meant to do. You will be remembered for what you moved to do. You will not be respected for your plans. You will be respected for your proof. So bring proof. Let your life be evidence. Let your routine be the sermon. Let your habits preach louder than your promises ever could. Because here's the secret that the quiet great ones know. Action is identity. Not intention, not inspiration, not education. Action. You are what you repeatedly do. You are what you finish. You are what you fight for when motivation is gone. Every time you move with integrity, with focus, with courage, you don't just change your results. You change your nature. You rewire the very code of who you are. So stop asking, who am I to do this? And start asking, who do I become by doing this? Because the identity you long for, the confident one, the bold one, the fulfilled one, is not waiting at the end of your learning. They are waiting at the end of your action. You don't become brave by thinking brave thoughts. You become brave by doing brave things. You don't become disciplined by reading about habits. You become disciplined by honoring your commitments when it's hard. You don't become wealthy by studying money. You become wealthy by moving money, risking, building, selling, shipping, scaling. You don't become great by studying greatness. You become great by doing what great people do. And great people act. They don't wait for the world to crown them. They crown themselves with consistency. They coronate their own lives with execution. They understand that success is not given, it is compounded. One action, then another, then another. Stacked, repeated, built into a wall of fire that no excuse, no fear, no voice of doubt can penetrate. You've seen the other way. You've tasted the false comfort of waiting. You know what it's like to scroll through inspiration while your goals collect dust. You know what it feels like to be full of potential and empty of results. So don't go back. Burn the ship. Delete the back door. Close the maybe. Kill the what if. And replace it all with one sacred vow. I will let my learning lead to action, or I will let it go. Because the longer you hold knowledge hostage without motion, the more it owns you. The more it turns into guilt, into pressure, into shame. You were not meant to be a warehouse of ideas. You were meant to be a furnace of impact. So light the match. Act like your life depends on it. Because it does. This is your revolution. Not loud, not flashy, but real, relentless, ruthless. This is the moment your future starts to applaud you. Not for what you know, not for what you plan, but for what you finally do. And when it's all said and done, when your body is tired and your legacy is written and your name is etched in the results you created, let them say, that was someone who acted. That was someone who finished. That was someone who refused to let their learning stay silent. They let it speak not in theory, but in motion. Let that be you.